views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Immigration has been a touchstone of the U.S. political debate for decades. Congress has been unable to reach an agreement on comprehensive immigration reform for years, and almost every president makes some sort of promise to bring change, effectively moving some major policy. Coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we talk immigration, the latest with DACA, and bring you the awareness that you need to know right here on Perspectives.
Let them know. What's on your mind? What's on your mind? Let them know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life. Make a difference. What's your perspective? Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective. What's your perspective?
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Daren Jaime. And of course, we thank you for watching. You're invited to share with us every week here on Perspectives on BronxNet's Channel 67. Of course, you can check us out at the website, www.bronxnet.org. We invite you also stay connected to us on Facebook, Twitter, our social media, where you can find out about some past episodes, find out what's happening, or also be able to check us out on my professional page, Daren C. Jaime, and get some inspiration there as well. Well, President Donald Trump was elected to take on pledges, and I should say he's elected on pledges that he would take extraordinary actions to curb illegal immigration and also prevent terrorism. That includes controversial plans to build out the border wall with Mexico and deport millions of undocumented immigrants. Over the last few months, we saw a major uproar in the United States as immigrant families were separated from their children. Now, as of today, most of those children have been reunited with their families, but the immigration issue still unresolved. Joining me now to talk a little bit more and give us an update as we are seeing a stand in comprehensive immigration reform is the supervising attorney for the immigration program at BronxWorks, Arturo Lopez. And Arturo, good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And so, as we said, a lot goes on. When you talk about what's happening in Washington, you almost have to, you have to not only just take a daily ticker, you almost have to have an hourly ticker. But when it comes to immigration, certainly a lot of people are concerned with the whole family separation issue.
Yes.
We understand that right now most of those families have been pretty much brought back and reunited. But let's talk about that for a minute. Has that problem fully been rectified?
I would say no. Those numbers that the government is stating, that the numbers of almost all are based on the standards that they have set for measuring that, which are not completely accurate. When they say all focusing on the children and families that are here. There's quite a large number of children whose families have been removed from the United States. I say removed, that's a term used now as opposed to deportation, which is probably the first term that comes to people's mind. So there are parents that have been removed from the United States or in their home country and the children are still here. But those children are not being counted when they add up that number. So there is actually still a large number of children that are still separated from their parents.
Now, you've got boots on the ground with the immigration situation. Let's talk a little bit about numbers, because we get numbers coming out of Washington, D.C. right now, talking about the number of people who've been deported, ICE agents coming in, and the Trump administration is saying, listen, the Obama administration had a lot of deportations as well. Are we seeing the same amount or more now than ever before? I mean, we get a couple different stories here.
Right. Well, again, it's confusing because to someone who's not sort of in the thick of it, because you're relying on the government and their sort of numbers, again, are shaded by the reality that they want you to see. Yes, Obama did deport probably more people than anyone in history. Obama also instructed immigration enforcement to focus almost exclusively on people with criminal histories. So with this court system not being clogged up with people who were not criminals, people who were not a danger to society, hardworking individuals from families. With the system not being clogged up with those people, it could move a lot faster and effectively and remove criminals. The current administration just wants a blanket sort of attitude of anyone that's undocumented. So you've got the court setting the same priority of importance to people who are career criminals as to people who are just family, who have family members who are citizens who are maybe came here and are just working day to day to support their families. You know, as I said, some of their family may very well be citizens and have never had any trouble or integrated into our communities. So there's more people in the system, but it's basically creating a bottleneck. It's clogging up the system and not focusing on really the people that it should be focused on.
Mm-hmm. We heard a lot about DACA, and we know what DACA, has been long debated. But what's the current status of DACA right now, given the fact that, the president's made some very serious comments, and there's been some real tension on the Hill about this, but where are we with DACA?
Right. So the administration attempted to end DACA. They claimed that they were ending it to inspire movement by Congress to find a resolution. There were several court actions to attempting to prevent the termination of DACA. Pretty much all of them kept it in place. The most recent court ruling was just this past Friday, and the judge found that the reasoning given by the administration to end DACA was, in its words, arbitrary and capricious. It did not question the administration's authority to end DACA. It said all it had to do was give a legitimate reason to do that. And they've been given several opportunities, and to date, since this all started, they have been simply unable to do so. So the judge ruled that DACA would be would remain in place. Now, this ruling is a little different than past rulings in that instead of only accepting renewals, this judge ordered that the entire program be reinstated, including first-time applications. However, there's a 20-day stay to give, again, the government an opportunity to show a legitimate reason or to appeal to a higher court. So that's what's going on right now, and in 20 days, we may have to update you again.
Right. Well, walk me through this. How is it affecting your office? Because when we talk about something on the Hill like DACA, right? Here you are in the Bronx, and you deal with immigration cases all the time.
Right.
How does this have a direct correlation with what you've got going on in your office every day?
Right. Well, because we are not certain of the future of DACA, what we're doing right now is working as much as possible with members of the community to renew their DACA status, get them that work ID, because even if the program ends, their status will be valid until the ID expires. So it's ongoing. We're trying to submit them as quickly as possible, get them approved so that even in the worst case scenario, they would have protection for 2 years.
We hear a lot about comprehensive immigration reform. After the break, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're glad to have Arturo Lopez, the supervising attorney of the immigration program at BronxWorks. He's our guest, and we'll be back with more show coming up in a few.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
And I can't are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
And we are back here on Perspectives. Daren Jaime here with you, talking about the immigration policy that's going on in Washington, D.C. Our guest in studio is Supervising Attorney of the Immigration Program at BronxWorks, Arturo Lopez, who's catching us up because when you talk about immigration here in the United States, literally it changes from day to day. There's things that are, legislation that's passed, the president says certain things, other things are happening, and it's really hard to really keep pace with all that's happening. More importantly, right here in our borough, we see hundreds and thousands of people who've been affected by the immigration policies that are happening. So we take special time on this show to really deal and find out and get the best information possible, and then also give you some information and awareness so that way you exactly know, in better layman's terms, what's up. So Arturo, thanks again. I want to go back a little bit about this here. Talk about comprehensive immigration reform, because we've been hearing this word for a moment. But what does comprehensive immigration reform really look like?
Right. Well, that would depend on who would draft a new law. I mean, I think when people hear that term, what most people are hoping for is some type of path to those who are here undocumented to be able to come out of the shadows and fully be integrated into our community. DACA, for example, in a lot of ways is not really fully integrating these individuals because it's only giving them permission to work. They don't have a green card, they cannot travel, they cannot eventually become citizens. There's some other really detailed restrictions on it, as opposed to having a green card, which means you live here permanently unless you do something wrong that would then make you removable. Puts you on a path to citizenship so you can eventually become a citizen. And also with a green card, and once you're a citizen, you can assist family members to come to the United States legally. Now, the question of what criteria would be set up, again, that's up for debate. Obama wanted a program where individuals would have to wait essentially 10 years to get a green card. They'd have a work ID, then they get a green card, and then after 5 years become a citizen. It's almost a 15-year path. So that's Obama, who was seen as sort of really liberal, open-minded, and helpful to this community. So this current administration really hasn't indicated that they have anything even that hopeful for the community.
I want to talk about state and federal for a moment, because when we talk about state and federal, federal immigration guidelines are certain things, certain legislations out there, and in many cases, it's left up to the state and how to deal with it.
Right.
We've heard New York State. Governor Cuomo saying that New York State is a sanctuary state.
Right.
And I'll go into that in a minute. Exactly what does a sanctuary state mean? But when we talk about having the ability to do some things on the state level and carry that mandate out, in a place like New York, you could see grace being extended to a certain extent.
Right.
You look around and you go to the southern states where things are happening rather quickly,
Right.
You see a lot more removals and deportations.
Right. Well, basically the concept of sanctuary city, really all it means is that the state won't be turning over all of its records to the federal government. And if you believe in states' rights, as many conservatives claim they do, you should, in theory, be behind that idea that a state has the right to keep its records private. So the federal government is sort of making this argument that what so-called sanctuary cities that won't start going through its records to help the federal government spot people who are undocumented and turn those records over as a sanctuary city, and that they can have the right to deny them federal money and to take actions against them. So there's a lot going on with that right now. But luckily for us, we're in New York State, which is committed to protecting its communities and is not turning any records over, and would very likely go to court were the government tried to penalize the state and the city of New York.
But what we are seeing in New York is an insurgence of ICE agents, not just on the streets, but actually in the courthouse. Now, as an immigration attorney, you're in the courthouse all the time. What are we seeing lately with boots on the ground?
Right, right. The federal government is seeking to have the courts grant them permission to basically post ICE agents right in the courthouse, so that when someone is showing up in criminal court, in family court even, and they know the person's going to be there, they can actually pick the person up on site. There's a lot of technical issues there because the presence of the agents is actually sort of determined by the court administrative body, not the state. So the state is working with the court and requesting that not be allowed to happen. As of yet, that hasn't happened. There's no rule protecting individuals. For right now, it's still up to the courts, and the courts have allowed the ICE agents to be there unless the particular judge holding the hearing that day does not allow them in the courtroom, in which case they still can wait outside or even outside the building to pick up individuals that they're looking for. And these aren't not necessarily individuals who have criminal histories. You know, while they may be criminal court, you have to remember, you go to criminal court for having something like a ticket for riding your bike on the sidewalk. So this includes people who are working as delivery positions. You know, they're delivering food to you and I in our homes. They get maybe a desk appearance ticket because they rode their bike on the sidewalk. ICE figures out that they're not undocumented. When they have to pay the ticket in person. When they go to pay the ticket, they can be picked up for this.
And you're seeing this happen yourself?
This is happening, yes, in Bronx courthouses, in New York City courthouses, Manhattan courthouses. So it is ongoing.
All right. Stay with us. We have more with Arturo Lopez, Supervising Attorney of the Immigration Program at BronxWorks. We'll be back in a few right after this.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
I did. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that strollers have the right of way on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Yep, I did. Did you guys
Did you know that kids who eat breakfast have higher GPAs?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say.
Did you know babies should never touch silver? It's really bad for them.
I knew that.
Did you guys know that statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
I'm putting that on my blog.
I just put it in mine.
And we are back here on Perspectives. Daren Jaime here with you. Our guest in the studio, Arturo Lopez, Supervising Attorney at the Immigration Program at BronxWorks. And let's talk about you for a minute and the work that you're doing these days. What kind of cases and what kind of work are you finding coming across your desk now, given the fact that there's so much of these changes that's going on out of the federal government?
Right. You know, that's very interesting. We're getting a lot of people coming in who want to apply for citizenship. Now, there's this interesting wrinkle in that in the past, as long as you had a legal status here, legal permanent residency, you could apply. If you qualified for everything else, you could apply for citizenship. And we've recently, very recently, been informed by the New York District Office that they feel that in order to apply for citizenship, you, in addition to having your status and all the other qualifying factors, you have to have a valid ID. And when I say valid ID, I mean specifically your identification showing your legal permanent resident status, which in the past wasn't really required. If you had an outdated card, you could still apply. So this is kind of problematic for our community. First of all, that basically is adding an extra 6 months to a process that's taking almost a year at this point. So if you come in and want to apply for citizenship, your ID is expired, instead of waiting almost a year to go through the process, you have to wait 6 months to get your ID and then apply. In addition, it's really expensive. I mean, renewing that one piece of ID is somewhere around $500. That's not sort of money that our community just kind of has to throw away just for an ID that they're not going to use for very long. So it is sort of a hindrance to the community. And you know, usually we get a big rush when elections are coming up. People want to become citizens and vote and help institute the change. So that's something that if a lot of people don't realize, when they come in to try to naturalize so that they can vote and make some positive change in our government in these upcoming elections, they may find that they're going to be shut out simply because their ID is expired.
For someone who might be just watching it, wanting to know about the immigration work that's available and the resources that are available to them at BronxWorks, why don't you tell us, what do you have available for those people who are dealing with immigration challenges?
Sure. Well, we are a non-for-profit, and all of our assistance is free. So you come in and you will be assisted. If we can assist you with an application, one of the applications processes we can assist with: citizenship, renewing your ID, petitioning for your family. We also assist with U visas for crime victims. If we can assist you, all of our help is free. If you have a case that we don't take on, an actual removal defense case, while we won't take the case on, we can assist to connect you with other centers here in New York that will take on the case.
And talk about those cases, because when you have a case such as a removal, how fast, how quick is it for a person that may be in custody to be deported or removed? We call it removal now, but that's another word for just really saying deported.
Right. It can take quite some time. Cases can last up to a year to 2 years. If you go into court now, the next available date for a hearing may be a year away. So, you know, if you're in holding, let's say someone, you know, maybe they did commit a crime, they served their time, they're gonna be removed, okay, but now they have to wait a whole extra year before they can see the judge and have that removal order entered. So, you know, they're being held basically just essentially to be held even though they've already served their time. You know, our criminal justice system is based on the idea you serve your time and then you get out.
So give us a real quick rundown. If somebody's deported, say for instance they get deported out of a court system here, they get sent back home.
Yes.
Do they enter into some sort of judicial process over there?
Well, the one thing I can say is once you are deported in your home country, you would not really be, in theory, you shouldn't be facing any court system or criminal charges there because the crime was committed here in the United States, and so for someone who has a criminal history, that case is ended. The deportation basically is, the removal is from the United States, your home country. That doesn't affect your status in the country that you're a citizen of. So in theory, once you get home, you shouldn't be facing any sort of court issues simply for returning.
Arturo Lopez, our guest in the studio, you get the last word. What do you want people who know, who are really dealing with this immigration issue, what do you want them to know?
I would say that if you have any questions, there are many non-for-profits in the city that provide assistance. Make an appointment, come in, ask your questions. If you qualify for citizenship and want to make a change in what's going on, you should start that process now. get it all squared away and take part in the elections when you are eligible, vote, and try to make a positive change to this society.
Arturo, good to have you.
Thank
Arturo
you.
Lopez, Supervising Attorney of the Immigration Program at BronxWorks, our guest in studio. That about wraps it up for us here on the Senate Perspectives. I'm Daren Jaime saying thank you for watching. Until next time we meet, stay safe. Share your perspective with somebody else. You don't know, it just might make a difference in somebody else's life. Take care. God bless.
No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective? Let them know.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.